The world's gone absolutely nuts hunting down this Karen who caused a massive scene at a baseball game last week. Forget the witch hunt. The punishment's already built right in. She thought she was grabbing a souvenir, guys, but instead she grabbed the internet's full rage. That one baseball became way more than just a foul ball, turned into a weapon, a symbol, a total scandal. A kid's pure joy got snatched away and flipped into the ugliest moment of the whole night. The woman, the crowd, and social media didn't even bother waiting to learn her real name. They slapped her with one instantly, Philly Karen. And the real sting wasn't just what she did in the stands. It was how everything played out right after. Picture this scene. The crack of the bat, the roar of the Miami crowd, and Harrison Bader's home run flying through the night sky. This should have been the kind of memory families treasure forever. A dad named Drew tracked it like a total pro, caught it clean, no elbows thrown, no chaos whatsoever, and without any hesitation, he slid that ball right into his son's hands. Just caught Lincoln's smile absolutely glowing. Fans were clapping in approval. The whole stadium felt like a fairy tale come to life. But seconds later, that fairy tale crashed hard because stomping right into that perfect picture came this woman in Philly gear. Finger pointing, voice rising, body language loud and aggressive as hell. Witnesses swear she barked out, "That's my ball!" And suddenly, the whole stadium just froze like time had stopped. Drew tried explaining, pointing at the empty seats nearby, trying to be reasonable. But reason was completely gone. Lincoln's small hands squeezed tighter around his glove as this woman pressed harder and harder. And then came the absolutely heartbreaking moment. "You took it from me!" Drew gave in. He actually pulled the ball from his own son's glove and handed it over. That was the breaking point. Fans gasped. Some swear they saw her smirk. Others claimed she even threw this smug little gesture. What nobody disputed was the sound that followed. A tidal wave of boos shaking Lone Depot Park to its core. In seconds, a kid lost his special ball, a dad lost control of the moment, and some total stranger became public enemy number one. And the cameras didn't miss a single second of it. The clip spread across TikTok, Instagram, Twitter faster than wildfire. Within minutes, her identity didn't matter anymore. She wasn't a woman in Philly gear anymore. She was Philly Karen. Stamped, memed, and mocked by the entire internet. Commentators immediately compared her to infamous viral villains, Bagel Boss Guy, Central Park Karen, even that Yankee Stadium dad who once ripped a ball from a child's hands. The boos didn't stop at the ballpark. They followed her online, echoing across the internet like some never-ending storm. The moment she stormed off, TikTok editors dropped the Imperial March from Star Wars over her exit. Because when you can look a kid dead in the eyes and snatch his ball, you've officially been crowned the villain. So the basic rule is foul ball, home run, adults involved. It's a scrum, right? And it's just a fight to the finish until someone secures the ball and holds it up. Then it's theirs, one sports commentator explained. Twitter piled on too. One user wrote, "If you can steal from a child without flinching, congrats, you're the villain now." But it didn't stop at one viral nickname. Once the mob names you, the hunt begins. Online detectives went full detective mode, freezing frames, zooming into grainy screenshots, launching endless Reddit threads. Wild rumors started spreading like crazy. Some swore she was a teacher in Jersey. Others claimed she'd been spotted at past games, switching jerseys like some undercover agent. Innocent women even had to come forward denying it was them, with one posting, "I wish I moved that fast, but sorry, not me." The line between fact and fiction blurred instantly, and the internet didn't just want a clip anymore. They wanted her job, her backstory, her whole life exposed. That's when it totally spun out of control, because once the internet turns you into a character, the plot isn't yours anymore. It belongs to them. Philly Karen wasn't just a woman in the stands anymore. She'd been written into America's newest morality play. Inside the ballpark, the boos were brutal. but online, they became absolutely deafening within minutes. The clip leaped out of sports Twitter and started trending on platforms that had nothing to do with baseball. TikTok creators added slow zooms, dramatic soundtracks, and captions like "Protect Lincoln at all costs." Instagram meme pages went full Photoshop mode, turning the baseball into a crown, painting her as some wannabe villain queen. Fans swore even the ushers froze, too shocked to step in. And that detail only made the outrage worse. How could grown adults just watch while a kid got robbed of his moment? But the other rules are, if there's a kid involved in the scrum and you're aware of it as an adult, you back off because you want the kid to get it. And if you catch a ball and it's not like, Aaron Judge's 500th career home run or something that'll sell for 500, you take the photo with it. You're happy. Then you toss it to the nearest kid, another commentator chimed in. By now, this wasn't about foul ball etiquette anymore. It was about parenting, morality, and the line between adults and children. Sports radio lit up with callers dubbing it the new Bartman moment, ATI, a throwback to 2003 when a Cubs fan became a national villain. But this wasn't about interfering with play. This was about interfering with innocence. And that hit different. People weren't arguing over rules anymore. They were arguing over basic decency. One caller on sports radio nailed it. Adults can fight over a ball all day, but if a kid's glove is in the picture, you walk away. End of story. And that end of story became the start of a much bigger debate. Even TV hosts jumped in. Megyn Kelly aired the clip and said she felt for Drew, the dad trapped in an impossible spot. Her panel clashed live on air. Was Drew weak for caving or smart for stopping a total blowout scene in front of thousands? Analysts went back and forth. One said Drew protected his son from public chaos. Another fired back that giving it up sent the wrong message. Online, those takes turned into camps. Team Drew versus Team Stand Your Ground. Both sides flooded comment sections, keeping the fire burning with every argument. Meanwhile, one radio host said, "That is truly undefeated. They have been trying to find this woman. And I know she's probably waking up like, oh my gosh, what did I do? But those were your actions. And I know once they find her, she's probably going to try to play victim and say, I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Ma'am, it is too late for all of that." Little Lincoln became way more than just a kid in the stands. He became a symbol. His disappointed quote to NBC 10, "I wasn't very happy that we had to give it to her, but we can't win," echoed through viral posts. Commentators said his quiet, defeated tone hit harder than any meme could. TikTok editors layered his sad face with piano music, turning him into the internet's tiny hero, IT, a boy robbed but dignified. Fans couldn't scroll past without weighing in. But as the memes spread, so did the damage. Innocent women kept getting dragged after Reddit threads misidentified them. At least two had to issue denials. While one diffused it with humor, the collateral damage exposed just how messy this hunt had become. Suddenly, the scandal wasn't just about one woman's behavior anymore. It was about how fast the internet can crown and crucify someone in the same breath. By midweek, the tone had shifted. It wasn't just a funny clip anymore, it was a cultural mirror. Philly Karen wasn't just a villain. She was a reflection of how crowds act when morality, parenting, and internet justice all collide. Fans weren't just booing her anymore, they were asking themselves what they would have done in that moment. That uncomfortable self-reflection is what kept the story blazing hotter with every single share. Just when it seemed like memes and outrage were the peak, the institution itself stepped in. A few innings later, Marlins staff marched into Lincoln's section, carrying giant bags stuffed with jerseys, hats, bobbleheads, the works. Cameras panned to Lincoln and his sister clutching the merch like treasure, while the whole section roared. Fans said the cheers for that giveaway were louder than for Harrison Bader's home run itself. It was a live redemption arc, tailor-made for social media, and the internet absolutely ate it up. The Marlins' redemption gesture should have wrapped the whole thing up with a neat little bow on a messy night. But instead of calming the storm, it poured gasoline on it, because the internet didn't see closure. They saw proof that the scandal was too big to ignore. Clips of Lincoln clutching the new merch went viral all over again. TikTok edits called it "Justice for the Kid." Instagram reels flooded with captions like, "When the team cares more than the adults in the stands." But the side effect? Philly Karen's villain arc only got darker. Fans claimed she'd been rewarded with the ball, while the boy had to be bribed with toys. And the internet wasn't done dragging her. They were just getting started. By Tuesday morning, sports talk shows had moved from "what happened" to "what should happen next." Some pundits argued MLB needed to step in, not just to protect fans, but to set a new precedent. Others mocked the whole idea, calling it the dumbest controversy in years. But whether they laughed or raged, they were still talking about her, and that's what made this story unstoppable. Memes escalated by the hour. One viral post compared Philly Karen to Gollum from Lord of the Rings, clutching the baseball like it was the precious. Another TikTok stitched Lincoln's sad quote with clips of world leaders captioned, "More honesty than most politicians." The creativity was endless, and the internet couldn't resist turning every angle into content. But alongside the jokes came something darker: the morality police. Parenting blogs, lifestyle influencers, even clergy weighed in, framing the scandal as a lesson in values. Posts with hashtags like "protect the kids" and "let them have it" flooded timelines. Suddenly, Philly Karen wasn't just a fan in a viral clip. She was a symbol of adult selfishness in America. And it didn't stop there. Online sleuths kept digging, convinced they had a duty to expose her real name. Threads popped up with supposed matches, blurry side-by-sides of random women, LinkedIn screenshots, even family photos pulled from old Facebook pages. At least 3 innocent women were forced to issue statements that week saying things like, "Nope, I wasn't even at the game," or "I've never been to Miami in my life." But the mob didn't care. They were hunting blood, and nothing fueled that hunt more than denial. Meanwhile, Drew, the dad at the center of it all, found himself dragged into the storm too. Some praised him for avoiding a public fight. Others trashed him for teaching Lincoln to fold under pressure. He couldn't win. Sports radio segments literally ran polls. Was Dad right to give it up versus should he have held his ground? And the results came back split almost perfectly down the middle. Even celebrities jumped into the discourse. A retired ballplayer tweeted, "I've seen grown men brawl over baseballs." Dad made the smart call, but a reality TV star clapped back saying, "Nah, that's weak. Teach your kid to fight for what's his." Screenshots of the spat went viral instantly, dragging the scandal into Hollywood gossip pages too. By Wednesday, Philly Karen's clip wasn't just a sports story. It was everywhere. Daytime talk shows replayed it. Podcasts debated it. TikTok teens reenacted it in skits using plush toys and wiffle balls, and every single retelling painted her worse. Even if you hadn't watched a single inning of baseball all season, you knew about the woman who stole a kid's ball, and Lincoln had officially become a folk hero. His quiet little line, "We can't win," was now printed on t-shirts sold by Etsy creators. One design showed him holding a glove with angel wings. Another had bold block letters reading, "Let the kid have it." His face, his frown, his words, all had been transformed into internet folklore. But here's the twist. The louder Lincoln's hero arc got, the louder the backlash against Philly Karen became, because fans weren't satisfied with booing a stranger anymore. They wanted punishment. Posts demanded she be banned from future MLB games. Petitions circulated online calling for her to publicly apologize. Even Marlins staff faced heat for not acting sooner. And just when it looked like the outrage had peaked, another angle of the video surfaced, filmed from across the aisle. This new clip showed the exact moment Drew pulled the ball from his son's glove. The crowd gasped again online, but this time the heat shifted slightly. Instead of only crucifying Philly Karen, people began piling on Drew for caving so quickly. One top comment read, "She can scream all she wants, but why take it from your own kid's glove?" Suddenly, the scandal had split wide open. No longer was it just Philly Karen versus the world. Now it was Drew under fire too. The internet had turned one awkward ballpark confrontation into a full-blown morality war, with new villains, new heroes, and endless debates about who was really to blame. And the craziest part? The game itself, the actual Marlins-Yankees matchup, had become irrelevant. Nobody remembered the score. Nobody cared who won. All that mattered was a baseball, a kid's tears, and the woman now forever branded Philly Karen. The second that alternate angle dropped, everything flipped. Drew, the dad who was once praised for keeping the peace, suddenly found himself under the microscope. The internet that had crowned Lincoln a hero now wanted answers from his father. Why rip the ball out of your own kid's glove? Why hand it over so fast? Some called him cowardly. Others said he robbed Lincoln of a once-in-a-lifetime story just to appease a stranger. Comment sections filled with fury. "She's a villain, but he's an accomplice," one user posted. Another wrote, "Lincoln didn't lose the ball. His dad gave it away." Suddenly, Drew wasn't the sympathetic parent anymore. He was the man who broke his son's heart on camera. And the backlash got so loud it turned into trending hashtags: "Justice for Lincoln" and "Bad Dad Drew." Sports radio stations ate it up. Analysts debated whether Drew had failed as a parent or whether he'd avoided a stadium meltdown that could have traumatized Lincoln even worse. But no matter the take, Drew's name was now in the headlines right alongside Philly Karen. The scandal had doubled in size, with two villains to tear apart. And just as the Drew debate exploded, MLB itself got dragged into the spotlight. Commentators asked if the league should create an official rule. If a kid catches the ball, the kid keeps the ball. No exceptions. Some sports writers mocked the idea as participation trophy culture, but others argued it was common sense. Because if stadiums couldn't protect children from aggressive adults, what message were they sending? That pressure hit hard. By Thursday, reporters were pressing Marlins reps for statements. At first, the team stayed quiet, letting the free merch gesture speak for itself. But silence only made the mob louder. Fans wanted policy changes. They wanted guarantees. And the league offices in New York suddenly had to treat a foul ball drama like a national crisis. Meanwhile, mainstream media poured gasoline on the fire. Morning shows ran segments titled "Baseball's Morality Play" and "Dad versus Karen. Who's really to blame?" Panelists sparred on live TV. One side insisted Drew had failed his son by teaching him to back down. The other claimed he'd modeled restraint in the face of public aggression. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It was framed as a lesson about parenting, manhood, even American values. Social media only amplified the divide. Clips of Drew's face as he handed over the ball circulated with captions like, "This is the face of surrender." Others defended him, editing slow-motion footage of him hugging Lincoln afterward, adding inspirational quotes about fatherhood. Just like Philly Karen, Drew had become a cultural Rorschach test. Fans projected their own beliefs onto him, turning him into both villain and victim at once. And in the middle of it all, Lincoln's quiet voice kept echoing. His line, "We can't win," became the fuel for both sides. Team Stand Your Ground said it proved Drew had failed him. Team Protect the Kid said it showed Drew shielded him from a bigger disaster. Lincoln wasn't just a boy anymore. He was the symbol of a national argument, dissected on podcasts, talk shows, and TikTok threads day after day. Then came the conspiracy crowd. Some claimed the whole thing was staged by MLB to pump social media engagement. Others swore the woman was a plant, a wannabe influencer desperate for clout. Theories flooded Reddit with fans dissecting her outfit. Drew's reactions. Even the Marlins merch giveaway. "Too perfect for TV," one post read. Another claimed this was scripted like WWE. And as those wild theories gained traction, the scandal started bleeding into politics too. A conservative commentator blasted it as an example of soft parenting in modern America. A progressive blogger countered, calling it proof of toxic entitlement in public spaces. What began as a foul ball now sat at the center of America's culture wars. See Feith. One clip dissected like it was a Supreme Court ruling. By Friday, even late-night hosts were cracking jokes. One monologue compared Philly Karen to Thanos, Drew to Loki, and Lincoln to Spider-Man losing Uncle Ben. The audience roared, but the laughter only reminded everyone how huge this thing had become. It wasn't a sports highlight anymore. It was a full-blown cultural event. And here's the craziest twist. While Drew faced heat online, some insiders claimed he was already being approached by networks to tell his side of the story. Producers wanted exclusives. Podcasters wanted interviews. Meme pages wanted collaborations. The dad, who once just wanted to take his kid to a game, was now at the center of a media bidding war. But Philly Karen? Still nowhere to be found. Not a word, not a post, not a statement. And that silence made the mob even more furious. Fans demanded she face the cameras, issue an apology, or at least explain herself. Instead, her absence only solidified her status as the faceless villain of the week. So now the scandal wasn't just about one selfish act in the stands. It was about how quickly the world can chew up a single moment and spit out villains, heroes, and debates that touch everything from fatherhood to fandom. A ball game had turned into a morality war, and with every share, every meme, every take, it only grew louder.